All right, you silly cat, I have to go live. And I'm so glared out that I can't even see which kitty cat you are. I'll try lowering that a little bit. God, these my glasses are so scratched up. I just know there's a black cat over there doing stuff they shouldn't be. Don't you mess up those new resource books. Don't you dare. Ah, life with kittens. Though soon to be kittens no longer. I mean, we're into March, and so they're 11 months old now. Honestly, I have to go back and check, but I think they were born beginning of April. So, hi everybody. I have a bit of a voice now. We'll work with this for as long as it lasts. Um, but I am Nancy from this overstuffed house. If you've not been here before, I am the crazy person who inherited 3 estates worth of stuff from people who like to collect things. None of it was like the American Hoarders TV show. There was no food nonsense around, no spoiled food, no rotting, nothing, no millions of feral cats with issues there. Most of them were more like the British version, where it's just massive collections that are sometimes very well organized, like the book collection. That was very well organized and was in every single room. It took us the entire summer to empty that house. And I stopped by just about every single day for 3 months solid. But one of the things we're doing tonight is I have a box of books that I went through, sort of. I have to double check some of them. And then one is still sealed with tape. So we're going to go through them tonight. I'm a little better, Marcy. We think, well, I couldn't get in to see the new primary care until April 11th. But after doing my own homework, I think I know what's wrong with my breathing. We had in the corner of the kitchen was a bag of concrete mix. Now, I not knowing that the dust from concrete mix is dangerous, was scooping the stuff out to put it into smaller bags to throw it away because it was so old and it had been in the basement, and we got it up that far, and then I got hurt. So it's been hidden in a corner for a year, and I wanted it out. So I was scooping it out with a cup into smaller bags and creating massive amounts of dust and coughing my head off. And I was immediately congested within hours, and then was sick off and on, and then finally got full blown acute bronchitis. And it turns out that that concrete dust is extremely dangerous because it's got silica and other things in it, and it coats your lungs. But my lungs are clear because I was already having congestion problems because we'd had so much rain, and I'm allergic to leaf mold. I'm allergic to wood mold. So we had rain and I had been in the yard. So I was already congested, and that actually has probably saved my lungs because all that dust I inhaled would have gone right to the already gunked up bronchial tubes and stuck in there. So, yeah, I just have to do what I can. We're going to have me coughing tonight. I have a pocket full of cough drops, but there's going to be coughing tonight because I'm completely out of cough medicine. So you'll have to forgive me for that. But I now need to check with a pulmonologist. From what I've read online, the Mayo Clinic has a really good thing. The CDC actually has a thing on it because this is such a problem for construction workers if you inhale concrete dust. And so there are some things: hot showers, lots of hot beverages, steam. It's funny, one thing I found was a breathing treatment that you do, which I learned when I was sick, when I was singing opera, or being trained for it at Westchester University. And if you ever get congestion like way up here, even if it's in the top part of your lungs or in your bronchial tubes, the trick is to hold your tummy in so that the bottom part of your lungs don't expand, and you lift your shoulders as you breathe in. And you breathe in as as hard as you can, and it will hurt. I mean, it's gonna ache, but it forces all that air to force all the gunk out of the top of the lungs and out of the bronchial tubes. And I wish they would teach that to like all the doctors, because it is such a great help if you have bronchitis or you have issues. My mother had congestive heart failure, and they just kept telling her, well, breathe in as deep as you can. And that didn't work. And I'm like, Mom, all your congestion's up here. You need to do this and hold, don't inflate the bottom of the lungs, inflate the top. And once she started doing that, man, a lot of her breathing issues went away. And when she told the pulmonologist that was treating her for the congestive heart failure, he says, well, that makes sense. And after that, he started telling his patients that that's what you got to do, is you got to force the air in up top. Because if you take a deep, deep breath, all that does is inflate the lower part for most people of your lungs. So that's what I've got to do. It makes me cough a lot. It's helped clear out some of the congestion, but they're so irritated. But all the meds are done now. The Z-Pak's done. The steroids are done. I have. I know I have it. Where did I put it? There it is. I've got this. I'm probably going to be on this for a long time, because it can take months to get that stuff out of your lungs and out of the bronchial tubes. But, it is what it is. But at least I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And I'll be trying to get a pulmonologist just to keep an eye on it and make sure. But I did talk to the new primary care, and she agreed, even if she hasn't seen me yet, that she says that does sound like it's probably from that, just because of how fast it was. And she apparently has experience with construction workers coming in with it. So yeah, that's the update. I'm up. I'm breathing mostly. I'm doing good. I need to get on this so I can read the chat better. Where's my live? There's my live. Oh, gotta turn the volume down or we'll get weird echoes. Hi, Warren. Yeah, I have spent, oh wait, not top messages. Chat filter, all messages. There we go. So who's here? I know Marcy's here, Nora's here, Sawdust is here. I keep forgetting your name, but I just think Sawdust is so funny, and I remember that. Warren's here. Yeah, Warren got an email from me, and then the next day I couldn't breathe. So, but it's taken what? It's been over a week now. But I was really wiped out, because when you can't get a deep breath in and all this is all congested, you're exhausted all the time because your oxygen count gets too low. But I'm good for now. I just gotta keep an eye on how much congestion is in there, because the bronchial tubes are seriously still inflamed, which is why I've got the inhaler. So, and every allergen. Oh, I can't wear perfume. Sets me off. The cats have to get bathed. We still haven't done that. If they've been in the basement, because the basement's damp and it's dirty. And so, especially when they first come out of the basement, if they want to try to sit on my lap, I start hacking my head off. So we have to bath the cats now. Michael's going away for the weekend, so we're planning on bathing them in the morning, tomorrow morning. We'll see how well that goes. So, yeah, I mean, Irish, that's exactly it. I could not get anything done. And if I let myself get too tired, I started getting lightheaded. And I went, oh, no, we're not having that problem. If I fall over in this house, if I knock a pile over on me, will they find me? Who knows? No, they'd find me. But still, you don't want that headache. But it just massively slowed me down. The good part of it is that, you know, I had 2 Netflix DVDs sitting here. I had the Death on the Nile, the new one. Absolutely hated it. I didn't know, hated is too strong. I didn't like it. Kenneth Branagh was good. Script was weak. They added all kinds of stuff to the storyline that were not in the original book. Um, and some of the actors, I mean, the script was really weak and they did the best they could with what they were given. But the one from the 70s with Peter Ustinov as Poirot was so much better, especially when you have Maggie Smith and Betty Davis as the nurse and the old lady characters, which they completely changed up in this one. But they were so funny because they both are known for having this great wit of being able to deliver lines in a certain way, and to have those two opposite each other is just fantastic. It really helps make the old 1970s Death on the Nile. But I did that, and I've gotten a couple of books finished. I've gotten more magazines read now in the house because I couldn't do much else. So it's good. Oh, set up a camera and record the cat bath. That's not a bad idea. I could take the ring light up. There's no plugs in the bathroom. House is old, so there's no plugs in the bathroom. So I wouldn't be able to turn the ring light on, but we're going to be doing it in the daytime. So maybe I could use that as the stand to hold the camera and video the bathing of the cats. This is going to be a riot. We've done it once before when they were smaller. And we only did, who did we do first? I had to do Arwen because Arwen had a cold and she had some issues. So she needed her. Hello. Hi, Aragorn. Oh, don't come so close. But she had to have a bath of her back end. So she had a bath. And so Gimli was so interested in what was going on, he got one too. That was in the kitchen sink. Now Mike thinks he's going to do it this time, and he's going to do it in the bathtub upstairs. So the one who has absolutely no experience holding on to a wet cat is the one who's supposedly bathing them tomorrow. So if it happens, I will film it because it's going to be a riot. Hi. Oh, you're going to play Mommy, I Want My Mommy, huh? You're going to tuck your head under? You're not staying in my lap. Absolutely. Put it on live. Oh, my goodness. Put it on live would be a riot, wouldn't it? Oh. Yeah, that's one that has asthma. That's go on. I know you heard Michael. Go get him. With if this is definitely from, if there's problems with the silica from the concrete being in there, I could end up with asthma. Wouldn't surprise me. Oh yeah, if it's anything like the dragon wings, which haven't been back on him. I need to work on that. Oh yeah. Yes. Merther's mustache, you are absolutely right. Anything that vibrates right across here will help loosen all that gunk. I also know that because I've been sleeping propped up, which is starting to kill my back. But I also know that if it's really thick and congested, a heating pad, carefully. You don't want it on the highest heat, and you want to make sure you've got that flannel cover on it. But a heating pad right here, and I'll put it like I have I have an undershirt and I have a t-shirt, but I've I've made sure there have been nights that I had another t-shirt on so that I had the heating pad between the two t-shirts when I was laying there. And that helps loosen things up too. And water, 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 water. You're drinking enough water to create the Nile. When I was you cough and use the R, yeah, that would help. When I had the pneumonia in college, when I was singing a lot of the operettas and getting voice training, um, one of the things that because they sent me the university, Westchester University, has a fantastic music department. I was not a music major. I was taking one class to improve my singing, which was difficult because I never learned how to read music. Nobody ever taught me. So the first teacher practically shredded my chords. Well, no, that was the second one. The first one was very kind about it, and he was trying to help me. But the second one was a nightmare, and sadly she was somebody I'd performed with and knew. She was a mess. But I had bronchitis, and they don't play around. They sent me to a specialist that was in Philadelphia, and the school drives you there. They arranged transportation to and because you're a music student. Wow. Okay. You don't do this for anybody else on campus. And one of the things that that I learned from this guy who that's his job. He deals with professional singers. When you have all this mucus in here, is that just do scales, but do it on an ah. Doesn't matter if you hit, and you don't need to hit any notes, but just go ah, however low and however high you can get it. Because when you hit that higher register, it vibrates up in here, which helps loosen that gunk, but the lower register vibrates everything in here. And this, tapping back and forth, over to the side, up here, down here, back up here again. All that stuff was all about getting congestion out of right here. Because there are singers who, they take really good care, especially if you sing opera, for your lungs and your bronchial tubes, because the biggest problem singers can have is if something happens to their bronchial tubes. So those are all great tips. They have helped me out a lot in the ensuing years, because you figure I was on campus at Westchester University when I was 21 and 22. I moved into the dorms. In September. I turned 21 that end of October, because I had to find a back door into college, because 5 years in Christian schools, I never had algebra, so I couldn't take the SATs. So I had to find a back door to get into college. I did. I found a way. You go to a community school, you take the placement exam for the community college. And then when you get enough credits, you transfer into a 4-year. Sneaky, right? Who's getting very old? Yes, I am getting very old. At 57, I am getting very old. But nobody told me that at 50 the warranty was going to expire and everything's going to start falling apart. So let's see. A thumper vibration massager, though. That's what you need. I mean, you need that thumping, but I'll have to look into one of them that actually does that. So we're gonna crack open some books, because now I know I've got the ones behind me on the radiator for a book sale that I never did film. I missed a video yesterday because there was supposed to have been a video drop for the vintage McCall's Needleworks, and I don't know what happened. I had 2 of them all set to go. That's 4 episodes, and now they're not on my channel. I don't have I don't have any emails from YouTube. I don't know what happened. Luckily, I didn't delete the videos. But I just assumed yesterday, oh, everything was good. And then it was only about 2 hours ago, I found out they're not in there. So once I get all the runaround with him dealt with tomorrow, and then Mike out the door for the weekend, I'll figure it out and see about getting them the one that should have been on Wednesday uploaded again. And this time I'll just upload it. I won't schedule it for a time or anything. I'll just get it uploaded and get it posted right away. So, oh, you saw that Piers Anthony book in the picture, did you? Oh man, I I love Piers Anthony. My favorite is a series of books that's no longer in print. Um, they all have tarot in the title. You know, like spelled the same way as tarot cards, but has nothing to do with tarot cards. I think Gods of Tarot was one of them. But that series was put out in the 70s, and as the best of my knowledge, I don't think it's ever been reprinted. And that was a fabulous little series of, I think, 5 books. I like the Incarnations of Immortality, but they're kind of uneven. It's basically the battle of good and evil, but the very first incarnation is death. And if you kill death, you have to take over the job. And it is funny, it is sad, it is thought provoking, it is intriguing. It's just the possibilities of the idea that if something happens to one of these incarnations, you have to take over the job is just kind of that concept alone got my attention. But they're uneven because certain incarnations are harder to follow and harder to write than others. The first one is death. The second one is time. Now think about that. If time is an incarnation, is a person, and they have control of time, that gets a little hard to keep track of because you don't know where in time they are, and it's kind of hard to keep track of. I have to admit, I lost track of what decade he was in a couple times. Then the next one's being a green mother, which is Mother Nature, and that one is really well done. But then the next one is war as the incarnation, and that was rough because War doesn't like his job. He's tired of it. He's had the job a long time, and when he was young, he thought gung-ho, adrenaline, right all the world's wrongs, and then he found out that with a war, most sides are wrong, both sides may be right. It's just not a good way to settle things most of the time. So he's kind of disillusioned with it. But so that one was, I think, a little harder to write for Piers Anthony. Oh, I can't remember who the next one is after War. But it is a good series. I think the beginning ones or the beginning 4 are the best. Because he did take that to the end. So I think all totaled, I think there's 7 books to the Incarnations of Immortality. And I have to admit, I haven't read the last 2. I know I own them. They're in a box somewhere. Now that's some of my books, so they're probably in a box in the attic. So, oh, Iris, you got a warehouse space? Through the Ice. Is that a Piers Anthony one, Through the Ice? I lost my pen. See, this is dangerous to talk about books with me because did I drop it on the floor? Did the kitty eat it? Where is my pen? I have a notebook. Well, I think I have another pen. There we go. I have another pen hiding. What is it called? Through the Ice. Robert. Oh, and it is Piers Anthony. Uh-oh. I see a kitty. Which one is it? It's one of the twins. Hi. Oh, I hear a bell. It's Miss Arwen. Where are you going, honey? Hi. Hi. You gonna say hello? Our little timid one? I can't twist my arm around like that. Come here. You can't stay. No. Let go of the bag. Let go. Let go of the bag. You can't. I know. You're not the same kind of cuddle. Oh, there she goes. She's not a cuddle bug. She doesn't like to be held most of the time. She likes to sit on your lap or sit next to you or lay on you, but not held. Uh, silly little girl. Absolutely silly little girl. So Piers Anthony, though, has written a ton of books. Yeah, so I haven't read Through the Ice. I don't even want to know how long my Goodreads to read list is. But then every time you enter to put in for one of the giveaways on Goodreads.com, then you end up, it automatically adds it to your want to read list. And I started going through it, and there are books that I want to read that I know I actually already own. So I started taking them off the list because I'll find them eventually. I have this one, and I forgot to look it up. Oh no. Iris, did Piers Anthony find out about it and finish the book? Finish the story that the young man was writing? Oh wow. I've heard of Girl of Limberlost. I don't remember much, but I know I've heard of it. Yeah. One of the things I did, I had a big pile of some of these books that are in this first box. We had gone through them a long time ago and worked with me out in the playroom before all this stuff came from back from Paul from his warehouse. And I had gotten them all cleaned and had my heart in my throat because they were on top of the stove. Now, I had cleaned the whole top of the stove off, made because Gary's a mess with the stove. And I got that all cleaned. Well, this is fifth. And I come down from taking a nap, and Mike, bless his heart, everything was moved to the other side, and he had a towel over top of it because he was frying French fries. So I was so happy that he was smart enough to do that and make sure they were well protected. Okay, so I didn't look this one up. Now there is a, wow, there's a sold comp for this for $25. Well, I think I need to hang on to that one. One of the books I found from this batch was I found a sold comp for 40. So sold comp, yeah, 5th edition, 1987. And this one's in good shape. Some little handy notebooks. We're running out of these because you use them for scouts, but they come in handy doing this because then I can just make a little tab and put that in there. So that one has got to go with the other ones. I have a lot of theater books because I used to do so much, and my plan was to get a communications degree and spend a while teaching theater and drama and public speaking in a high school, then get my master's, and then go work at a law school and teach lawyers how to lie. That was the plan. But then my nephew happened. When you become instant mom to a 2-year-old, something, there goes the pen. Okay, where'd it go? Where did it go? The house has now eaten 2 pens. All right, don't eat the pencil, dang it, because that's all I have left. That's all I have left is the pencil. Okay. But this one box had quite a few. So I've got 30 famous one-act plays. It's a modern library edition. I'm sure, considering what's in this, and it's in excellent shape. It's from 1943. I used to pick these up at the library sales, or at used bookstores because they were always super cheap to get these compilation ones. I love the very first one in here is The Man Who Married a Dumb Wife. Heck of a title, right? It's a comedy in 2 scenes by Anatole France, translated by somebody. But it's got where is it? Here we go. Come on, pages, work with me. So The Man Who Married a Dumb Wife is from 1915. Then there's Salome by Oscar Wilde. Lady Gregory's The Rising of the Moon. Anton Chekhov. J.M. Barrie, remember the guy who wrote Peter Pan, also wrote quite a few plays. And The 12-Pound Look is in here by him. Who else might? What other one? Noel Coward is in here. Fumed Oak. Lord Dunsany. Wow, that's got to be older. A Night at an Inn. A lot of his stuff got turned into movies. Eugene O'Neill's In the Zone. Yeah, the fun part of some of these is some of them are ones that you don't, from famous playwrights that you don't hear because these are all one-act plays and you just don't find them very often. A lot of times you find the things that are the actors like Eugene O'Neill, you find his more famous 2-act plays. You don't find the 1-act stuff. So that one's 30 famous. That's going to go in the book sale. World Masterpieces Through the Renaissance. I was so ambitious to make up all the lost stuff that I didn't know. When I spent 5 years in Christian-run schools. You weren't allowed to read Shakespeare. I never knew any Shakespeare. I did not know Kiss Me Kate was based on Shakespeare. It's how sheltered my education was and how naive I was. I knew it because I was a theater geek, but I didn't know Kiss Me Kate, the musical, the Broadway musical. I did not know that was based on a Shakespeare. So realizing what a massive gap in my education I had in a lot of ways, I read everything I could get my hands on, including books like this, where it's World Masterpieces of the Renaissance. This is volume 1. And I know I read this because I know I read the Canterbury Tales out of this. And let me tell you, Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales are a real slog to read. I had much more fun reading Dante's Travels Through Hell in the Inferno. So we've got that one. It's going to go. What else is here? Oh, I looked this one up, but mine has some issues. See, the cover's got some staining to it. So, The Theme of Love, Fiction, Drama, Poetry, and Essays. This is a good book. It's Peter the Great, but it had issues, and at some point somebody put packing tape over it. Maybe me. I don't think so, though. And it's a shame I did that, because this copy is a first edition from 1960. But I remember this one. This one was a good read, and I decided that, you know what, I'm not gonna read it again. So if you guys see anything you're interested in, let me know, and we'll figure out a price. Now, I know I have more than one autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. I read Clockwork Orange a long time ago. Really thought it was pretty awful. And then I saw the movie, and I thought the movie was even worse. Lawrence of Arabia. Look who's on the cover. Peter O'Toole. That's the movie edition from when the movie came out. And here's the Piers Anthony, Gollum and the Gears. For those of you who don't know Piers Anthony, so it's fantasy writing. And he has the whole bunch of them that are the magic of Xanth. A Spell for Chameleon, I think, was the very first one. But he's created this incredible world, and there's dozens, I think dozens probably now, of books. This is a first edition from February of 1986. But one of the things that you can find relatable is that I'm going to show you a map of Xanth, this world he created. You ready? What's that look like to you? Because it sure looks like Florida to me. That's one of the funniest things, is that his map of Xanth is literally Florida, and it's on purpose. and he's very funny. In Xanth, some of the things that we take for granted as words are actual creatures. Like a nightmare is actually a wild horse. And everything in Xanth has some kind of magic. And a nightmare's magic is, of course, if it gets too close to you while you're asleep, you'll have very, very vivid dreams, and usually not always good ones. But it's an actual horse. So they all are a little, I love the fact that the dragon, one of the dragons, his character name is Stanley Steamer, which of course used to be, Stanley Steamer. I hadn't how to describe Stanley Steamer. I remember the commercials, but I think they were the first company that had like portable steamers, sold steamers that you could clean your own rugs or rent them. And so the book I have from the Piers Anthony one is I have Gollum and the Gears. A Golem is taken from Jewish mythology, and it is a creature usually made of sticks and mud and brought to life with a prayer on a piece of paper that's put in its mouth, and it's to protect the village. Now that's a really abbreviated part of the Jewish mythology that a Golem is from. But in this case, someone made a small Golem who's only about 2 foot tall. He's a little guy. And he, as a Golem, helped defeat some demon who had taken all the magic away from Xanth. But when he gave the magic back, he decided to reward the Golem by making him real, like a real living being, flesh and bone and not sticks and everything. But he's still a Golem. And so it's kind of a journey. Gollum in the Gears, the Golem gets sent on a quest to go find Stanley Steamer, the young dragon, and he ends up saving Rapunzel. Yes, that Rapunzel with the long hair, and they end up together by the end of it, which is really kind of sweet because they're both. He's fairly sarcastic because the world's not treated him nicely, because he's a Golem. So some people don't take him seriously as a being, now that he's real. And then she's been sheltered in a tower for 20 years, so she's very naive and clueless, but she knows kindness of heart when she sees it. And so, by the end of their quest, they end up together, and Stanley Steamer ends up saved. And the monster under the bed ends up somewhere where he's very happy too. Because yes, the monster under the bed is a real creature in this. But I have that one. I haven't read one of these in so long, and I just blew through this. I had so much fun. Oh yeah, the puns. All the puns that are in the Xanth books. There's so many puns. Oh, you read Cruel Lie? I don't know if I read Cruel Lie. I was surprised I had this one, but I hadn't actually read it. This was the first time I read it. Oh, Nightmare Carries the Nightmares. They had an X-Files episode with one? Oh, that would be a riot. Shrek. Oh, Shrek would fit right in Xanth. Absolutely. That's right. Even the monster under the bed found happiness. So I'm very tempted to keep it, but then I thought, you know what? I have so many books here that I have to really, really love it to keep it, because I've got so many books I haven't read yet, and I'm 57. I need to read a lot more. But I also figure is that I can't keep everything, and and I know there's books I'm keeping. Like I'm still keeping my I still have a lot of my Gilbert and Sullivan books, and I still have a lot of my I still am on the lookout for some Louisa May Alcott books I don't have. Most of the ones Aunt Joe's scrap bags. Boy, I'm still looking for a bunch of those. I only have 2, and there were 9 total. Plato, The Last Day of Socrates. I've got that one in here. Because I knew no Shakespeare, I was determined to learn a lot. This one's actually interesting if you like history and want to know about Shakespearean London, because it's Shakespeare of London, and it's an account of Shakespeare, but it's also an account of the city of London at that time. So from the perspective of finding out what the city was like back then, it's really cool. It was funny in that that I found this because there's a book, A Discovery of Witches, and they made the All Souls Trilogy, which that's the first one, written by Deborah Harkness, who's a university professor of history in England, and she wrote this great book about a witch and a vampire, and all this background of that is around the Bodleian Library. It takes you through some of the archaic stuff, but it also takes you back to Elizabethan London at one point. You end up time traveling back, and boy, her stuff is spot on for the history, because I remembered some of it from that book. Animation, an anime Vampirina? I don't know that one. let's see, patterns in Shakespeare's tragedies. And then I've got The Praise Singer by Mary Renault. At some point, I thought that was going to be a fun read, and I haven't read it. And I looked at it and went, no, I don't think I want to. Now I have a note in here. Why do I have a note in here? $6, buy it now. Oh, A Student's History of Education. I actually haven't read this, and I'm tempted to read it. Simply because it talks about the different movements in education, and it even tells you how to teach using when they had to teach using chalkboards, have to have a little slate that you wrote in and had to show it to the teacher. That cracked me up. That's a whole chapter in here. But somebody's notes are all in the corners, in the margins. Some things are underlined. I mean, it's not worth a lot. It's worth about $6 online. This one's from July of 1915. And the Winston Churchill one. Now, if this were in better shape, it'd be worth more than the $5. But look what's wrong. The spine is coming all apart. Now, mind you, that can be fixed, but you have to have somebody that actually knows what they're doing. Because, like, this part of the spine is fine. It's just the cover has all separated. So you'd have to put new end papers in, reinforce the silk webbing. But it is Winston Churchill's book, The Crossing. And it's from 1904. It's the first American edition. And one of the plates, early plates for colorizing, that's a lithograph in there. But apparently the story is all about the beginning of the country, and so it's kind of based in the Revolutionary War period. At least from what I read, that's what it said, but I haven't read the book, so I'm not sure. But looking at that picture, I wouldn't be surprised. Because all the lithographs are still in here. But this is basically if somebody really, really wants to read it. Because even in that shape, it does have a value of $5, which surprised me. But let me know if you're interested in that one. You can have it for $4. But now I need to get these in here in a nice way. Yeah, nowadays they use whiteboards. Some of the problem nowadays too is kids are allergic to chalk. Come on, cooperate here. Let's put you in. Because all of these, one way or another, are gonna be leaving. Put that one in. Now this is still sealed. This is not very big, but let me tell you, to me, this thing to me, this felt like it weighed 40 pounds. This thing was so heavy. It was pretty much all I could do. I don't know what was in this. Originally, this says this set $4. So I know I used to run the book booth at the Arden Fair. And sometimes we'd get sets of books and I would just put them all in one box and put a price on them. So I don't know if this is a set or if it's all individuals. So let's find out. Oh, these aren't going anywhere. Look what's in here. Yes, 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 yes. I can add that to the bookcase upstairs because I've been trying to find them all. And not in great shape. Something dug into that one. Awesome. So happy to have found James Bond. Cuz like I don't know that I don't think I have them all, but I love the James Bond books and they're such an easy fast read. What's this big one that says repertory? Repertory. An introduction to essays and articles, biography and history, short stories, drama, and poetry. Okay. Hey, check this out. It has a card in the front. That would be the card of the company that sent this to some university, and this was probably the sample one. But yeah, I used to read big monsters like this, though I don't think I read this one. Pretty sure I haven't. Now this is different. So it has your usual short stories, dramas, full stories, but looking at this, it starts with factual prose, which is not usual. Usually these things are all just great literature and nothing else. And they have George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant, because they have stuff under society and the individual. They have civil disobedience. E.B. White wrote Charlotte's Web and has The Family Which Dwelt Apart. And then they have a section on government, which has an essay written by Fiorello LaGuardia, John Stuart Mill, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Progressive Government essay. Barry Goldwater has a section on college education. They never have this stuff in there. This is surprising to me that it has all this social stuff in there. It has college education. It has Ralph Waldo Emerson's The American Scholar, Douglas Bush's The Humanities. On language and its use, who's it got? Somerset Maugham, Wilson Follett, Bergen Evans. Those are the names I know. Mass media has Edgar Dale's The Effects of the Mass Media. Reflections on horror movies. From what decade? Because horror movies then, they are so different from horror movies now. I don't watch horror movies now. I don't think I've seen. I think the last horror movie I saw was one called Oculus. The only reason I watched it was because it has Karen Gillan in it from Doctor Who. And it actually was really nicely done. More psychological than anything else. But the modern horror movies are just like slasher stuff, and I've never really liked those. Give me the old Edgar Allan Poe, Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, Peter Lorre, all those old school ones. I like them so much more. Literature and the fine arts, science and the humanities, with essays by Bertrand Russell, Thomas Huxley, Albert Einstein, a section on religion, and then factual prose, essays and articles, history, and biography. I'm just so amazed at that, because usually it's always just literature stuff and not anything like that usually. Wow, there's a lot in here. Culture and technological progress. What is that under? Contents by theme. Wow. They have this really. This was definitely meant to be a college book. This was absolutely meant to be a university book to study with. Some of the themes are life's transiency, love and kinship, man as an individual, imperfections, the ideal and eternal, freedom and law, despair and isolation. That is such a college book. Absolutely. All right, we're going to have to look that one up. Oh. Oh, I didn't know I had this. Oh, oh my goodness. I didn't know there were books. I didn't remember this at all. I remember watching the Avengers with Emma Peel on PBS because they used to show all these great British shows. I love the Avengers. I watched it all the way through to the very last episode, not just of her, but when they had replaced her with Joanna Lumley. Took two characters to replace one Emma Peel. I just watched on YouTube. There are some wonderful Diana Rigg is the name of the woman who played Emma Peel. She's also most recently known for being the older lady, one who was, I'm blanking on the name. She was in Game of Thrones as the one Queen of Highgarden. Boy, she had a juicy good part and great lines. And but there are some absolutely wonderful interviews with her on YouTube. If you search Diana Rigg, you'll find some fantastic interviews with her. She is cramp. She is quite funny to listen to. I was due to get my trigger point shots, but then I had a steroid for the breathing, so I have to hold off, and now I can't get my trigger point in my back until the 21st. Now my back's not hurting, but my potassium's way too low, and my some of the symptoms from not having the trigger point shot are kicking in. So I get cramps. I get one right here, and it'll come up through my hand and cramp my fingers up. I get another one on the left side on the leg, and it's all from the pinched nerves. They're just random and they're annoying and painful. All right, where were we? Oh, yeah. The Worst Witch. I don't think I know that one. I have a book called The Worst Witch. I wonder if it's a try to. Yeah, squeals of excitement because I found an Avengers book. Now all we need to do is find some Dark Shadows books. I'll be real happy. It's another Ian Fleming. Yay! Jules Verne. I like Jules Verne. I like Jules Verne. I like Wells. I like Verne. I like Ian Fleming. I will read any of them. This one will probably end up going up for sale. I think I know there's a bunch of, I have somewhere there's a whole box of Star Trek books, newer ones, that don't have the covers on them, because when you work in a bookstore in the late 80s, what they would do is they'd tear the covers off and you return the cover to the publisher for credit. and then they throw away the book. And the manager used to let us take the books to read. So I know there's an entire box somewhere that is just mostly all Star Trek. But the only one I really, really, really liked and would not mind reading again is the one called the Kobayashi Maru. In Star Trek, in the TV show, even, I think they bring it up for the first time in one of the movies, or did they bring it up in the old series? But the Kobayashi Maru is the final test you take when you're at the Star Trek Academy, at Starfleet Academy, to be a captain. And it's a no-win scenario. But Kirk won it because Kirk cheated. So, there's two more. Star Trek 2 and 3. All right, we'll add that. What do we got? Silver Chalice. A great and moving epic of the cup of the Last Supper, the artist who made it, and those who protected it. Was there Thomas Costain? Well, I think that one will definitely be going. I see why this box was so heavy. Let's get there and find out. Turgenev, Fathers and Sons. This got banned at one point. Not by us, though. I think it got banned in Russia at one point. Turgenev was a contemporary at a time when Henry James was writing, and there's the French guy, Maupassant. I know that show used to show up on a lot of school reading lists. Oh, I've always wanted to read this. Hull House. Not Hell House. That's a whole other series. That's a whole thing of movies. 20 Years at Hull House is one of those books that actually helped create laws in the United States to help make things better. Another book that's like that is Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, which is about the meatpacking industry. It is not for the squeamish. The Jungle created so much outrage that it basically is why the Food and Drug Administration was created from that one book, and why safety measures were implemented for workers. So, The Rise of Silas Lapham. This looks old. But I know 20 Years at Hull House. I'm not sure what the book's about, but I know that's another one of those books that really was a game changer. Okay, Riverside Press from 1912. When a lot of these classics are because I had a book that was the top 100 reading list for the top 100 colleges. And they had put in what they wanted. They basically had what they felt incoming freshmen should have already read. Some of them sent what it should be read, what was their reading list for all 4 years. And I went through that, and I was reading books from that list. My goal was to and I may still have the book, but I would read a book and then I'd go through and highlight that book that was on every single reading list, because I really was determined to fill in the gaps in my knowledge. Let's see, John Steinbeck's The Moon is down. Looking at that silhouette, it must be a book about war. Oh, I hate when they tell you nothing on the back cover. 1942 is when it was published. So apparently it's apparently it created a fuss. So it's set during World War II, and it was regarded at the time, or published in 1942, to be Steinbeck's unduly sympathetic portrait of a Nazi officer. While the controversy raged, however, the book sold over 500,000 copies within a month of the publication. The ultimate non-literary verdict came from an unexpected source. Smuggled into Nazi-occupied countries, copied, mimeographed, remember those machines, and passed from hand to hand, it became an inspiration to the resistance movement. So great was its power that the Nazis made mere possession of it a capital crime. Well, now I want to read it. All up, The French Lieutenant's Woman. That was made into a movie. You know, I've kind of seen the movie, and I really couldn't sit through it. So I have a feeling that one's going to go. Funny, the stuff you think you're going to read at one time. Oh, What a Paradise It Seems to Be, John Cheever. John Cheever's stuff is fun. They're easy reads, they're short, they're always kind of interesting, fable kind of type things. Let's see. 13 Stories by Eudora. There's a name for you. Eudora Welty. Oh, look at the artwork on this one. This is the old pulp fiction that people like to collect. Yep, and it's a pyramid book. Hero of a bloody and bawdy age. In an era of cruel violence, extravagant excesses, and blinding beauty, Benvenuto Cellini lived fiercely and loved wildly. Believing more in his own virile strength than in any code of laws or morals, this is such pulp fiction trash. He pursued an endless variety of exotic women from Rome to Paris. A brilliant artist and savage swordsman, he moved among nobles, princes, popes, and kings, recklessly outraging them. With equal passion, he killed his enemies and cast his statues. He was a 16th century libertine whose own notorious story will be outlived only by his monumental works of art. These books often are now collected because of whoever did the artwork on the cover. Check out that cover. Isn't that wild looking? Well, it's got a bad scratch down the front. Oh, I love it. It says a modern edition of the great autobiography. Yeah, I doubt very much this is an autobiography. I don't know. Copyright inside. Pyramid Books edition 1953. Now I'm being extremely careful with it because these things were, so they literally used to make these and the covers would be glued on with horse glue, which gets extremely brittle. And there is a market for these early, this is where the term pulp fiction comes from, these early kind of novels. They were made fast, sold cheap. It was only 25 cents originally. They often had really great covers. They had stories that there were a lot of men's adventure magazines, and they would often have the short stories, but then the pulp fiction books would have, and they usually were no thicker than that, would come out with that. There is a book called it's a Zappa album. Weasels Ripped My Flesh or Weasels Ate My Flesh. I'm sorry, Wyatt Doyle. I can't remember the title of your book. But that one has a lot of the short stories from these men's magazine in them, and they are absolutely hysterically funny to read. So we're gonna have to look that one up. 13 Stories by Eudora Welty. Why do I know her name? What did she write? She wrote something. She had to have written something we all know. Having grown up in a house where the only books to read were old ones from my parents, and my parents were the World War II generation. Honestly, you have this big long introduction and you don't mention her other books? Why not? No, you don't. Well, what good is that? Oh, we'll be looking that one up. A portable what is this? A portable Hamlet, but look, it's, oh heavens, it's line drawing Hamlet. So it's not a flip book, but they're line drawings. George Hamishon, The Portable Hamlet. Okay, guys, that's just strange. And strange sells, so we'll be looking that one up. Good night, Sawdust. Hey, remember what I said about a Dark Shadows book? Yes! I was, oh, another Star Trek book. I was tidying up in the doorway of what's the Black Hole Challenge Room, and I found a plastic bag, and it had a couple copies of the Dark Shadows newsletter I used to be editor of, because I used to be founding person for started a Dark Shadows fan group for the Philadelphia area, and I was editor for the newsletter. But I also found the program because we got big enough that we joined together with another group. This is before the days of Comic-Con took over everything. And we actually had managed to get a we worked together with one or two other groups, and we managed to get a convention in Philly of Dark Shadows. And I have several of the autographs, including Jonathan Frid. So I have Barnabas, I have Angelique, I have Quentin. It's easier to say the character names, but I think I've got 7 different autographs. And boy, I need to set that sucker up on eBay. Apparently Dark Shadows stuff is still quite popular. So, but I'm not giving up these. I want to find these. I want to read these, just like the finding the Avengers one. And then, but I know I only ever had 3 of these. This is only one of them. Gotta find the others. So this is why the box was so heavy. There's a whole set in here of Hugh Walpole, Walpole. I'm looking for a year. 1926. Wow. I'm going to take you for a ride. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. That's why this box was so heavy. There are 10 of them in there. Well, well, I'll be checking that out and seeing whether it's worth anything as a set. Sometimes sets are. Sometimes sets are worth it. One thing that I've seen quite a few other YouTubers talk about is these do-it-yourself, how to fix up your home repair sets. And I don't mean like the modern ones where it's all the plastic pipes for the plumbing. These are whole sets where there might be 14 or 15 volumes, and they're from the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, because people with old houses are desperate to get their hands on them. And some of these sets can go for over $100. And then people are willing to pay the shipping to get their hands on them. Simply, and I know the problem here because I have an old set and I would never give it up because it tells you things like how to fix, um, how to, if there's a small pinhole in a pipe, how to clean it off, do the soldering just to like patch the hole, how to mix up horsehair plaster. The set one set I have is from the 1920s, and it actually tells you, doesn't tell you where you can get horsehair from, but it tells you how to mix it up and make that hard lime coat that's on old houses. You always have that really hard finish coat. Nowadays they say, oh, you just buy DAP or something. DAP is like chalk. It's not a hard finish, not at all. It's soft. So sometimes you got to find these old ones to find out how to fix stuff in your own house. So I wouldn't give mine up for anything, but sometimes sets of books, either from a single author or certain topics like those home repair ones, can be surprisingly worth it. So I will have to double check this. I don't have, oh, I left it out where I can't get to it. I did find one book what I found was interesting. And I don't know what's going to happen to it when I'm going to have to put it on eBay. The prices for sold comps are all over the place, but it's mine. Yeah, published in the 20s, they'd be out of copyright. But it's a book on Gladstone, William Gladstone, who was one of the most known in Britain of being one of the prime ministers who had a lot of power and did a lot for their country. But it covers this gorgeous embossed cover. Inside, it has a page that's never been written on. It has a presentation page. And then when I looked, it has in it limited edition to 1,000 copies, but they never wrote the number in as to what edition this was. So it's a limited edition run. So that one will be interesting to see what happens. And I know I already have the they're sitting right here in a box. The dollhouse stuff, the 1930s stuff still has to get online. But like I said, everything just stopped when I couldn't breathe. And it's not like I felt real bad. I just felt exhausted all the time because my oxygen sorry, my oxygen count was so low. So that was to just stop me in my tracks completely. I managed to struggle through the sale last week. But yeah, for the most part, I've been completely off my game. But yes, Miss Arwen, you gonna come up? Can you come up? Can you come up and say hello? It's a rare Arwen sighting. They like to see your pretty face. Oh, I hear purrs. I hear purring. Are you purring? Oh. How long are you going to last? My fingernails are actually getting long enough. Yes, they are. I know the house is cold. The house is cold because nothing's come in, so gotta keep that heating oil. We're supposed to get rain this weekend, and then next week we're supposed to get nailed with snow and really cold temperatures. So we're trying to conserve the heating oil around here. Yeah, and you guys aren't happy with that, but it is what it is. Wow. I'm impressed you haven't run away. See, like this is what I mean about when she wants to. And the only reason I figured I could grab her is because she'd put her paws up on my knee. So when she wants to, then she'll want to come cuddle and say hello. And This is a rare thing. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to go down now, honey. Yeah, that's a good girl. I'm gonna make sure I wash my hands later. So, well, that was quite an interesting little pile. If anybody sees anything now or on the replay or you think about it later that you're interested in, let me know. The Avengers, the Dark Shadows book, and the Ian Flemings are definitely off the table. Those aren't going anywhere. But most of the others I think are definitely negotiable. Definitely gonna go. Because I can't keep everything. And uh so so I know what I'm doing tomorrow morning. Either before or after I go out with Mike. Because we know we need cat food and he wants to buy the cat food before he better buy it before he leaves for the weekend because we've only got 3 cans left. That's not enough. So anyway, I'll make sure I get these checked, and I want to try to spend because with this cold, you completely lose your way. I was doing so well having a set schedule, and I want to try to get back to where I spend an hour a day getting anything listed, whether it's eBay or Etsy, just anything thrown up on there. Um, and then keep working on packing and getting you guys taken care of. This Thursday, this next week, I will have Lisa from Flippin' Crazy as a guest. She'll be on the sale with me because next week is a sale. And it's going to be vintage stuff because I asked her which did she want to do, vintage jewelry or stuff or what, craft supplies, what did she want to do? So she would like to come on and sell vintage stuff. So next week's sale will be all vintage. I will try to make sure I find some things that are more say pre 1970, because right now trying to find anything's been a challenge for me. But I'll see what we can find here, and she will have stuff earlier than that, I know. But I think we'll have fun. I like Lisa. She does a ton of sales during the day at Flippin' Crazy. Flippin'. Take the E off the word flipping, and it's Flippin' Crazy. And but yeah, she's got a lot. I know, Iris, you want to do a book sale. Lisa's been waiting the longest, so Lisa was the first one to make sure I get her. And then you and I'll have to get together for a book sale. And that'll end up that we just went through 2 more boxes, so that's probably going to end up being very soon. And that may or may not, depending on what our schedules work out to, that may or may not be that may or may not be a Thursday night one. I'd like to be able to find another time, maybe on a weekend, where we can do one during more daylight time. We'll see how that works. But I haven't forgotten you, Iris. I know you want to do a book sale too. And I have to get a book sale together because now I've got behind me as pile, and then I've got a book, all these to deal with. And I'm beginning to lose the voice. I could tell it's getting all cracky. So now would be a good time to go. It's been almost an hour and a half. It's always fun coming on and seeing you guys in the chat. Especially with me having no car. You guys in a lot of ways are my lifeline right now. Not that I get lonely. I'm comfortable enough in my own skin that that's not the problem. But knowing that I have to get ready for one of these does help keep me going to keep working on stuff. I mean, even being sick, just by reading some books, it's been helpful because I know I mean, I finished I finished one. I'm well on my way to finishing 2 more, and I've started 2 others. And so that really does help, because to me that's also working on the house, because they're ones that I wanted to read. And if I just took the opportunity, since I couldn't do much else, then it was good. It was good to get it done and get it out the door. I mean, and it was nice because instead of reading, that's why I got Gollum and the Gears done so fast. I read that in a day and a half, because normally I'm trying to catch moments to read. I have one book that has been staying in the powder room, because I go in, and if I need to, I'm sitting there for more than 2 seconds. I might read a page. And then I have another book that, a paperback book, that anytime Michaels has me out driving around, rather than me be, my face in the phone while he's driving, I'll read. If he's running into Ross and I don't want to go in, I'll just sit in the car and I read, assuming it's not freezing cold outside. So you have to sometimes find time to just read, even if it's just 15 minutes. And I found that I was getting good at having that first morning cup of tea, and I would read for the time it took me to drink that cup of tea. And that was a good start. And I did that for 2 weeks and then got sick. So I took those same books and went, nope, nope, I'm going to keep plugging away and get them going. So, all right. I don't know who else is live right now. Oh, I give myself a thumbs up there. So, and it's the usual thing. I do have memberships, and I do have I forgot what I was going to say. I have 2 levels of memberships. I have a buy me a coffee. On my page it's called buy me a tea. And then if you want to help out with the kittens, there is an Amazon wish list to help with the kittens. There is a new cat outside that still doesn't trust me enough that I'm trying to get somebody to come trap him. He needs medical care as soon as possible. I'm waiting on a call back from a different. They're up in Philly, so I don't know if they'll come. But this cat it's missing an eye. And that wound looks bad. So I'm trying to get a group to come down from Philadelphia and come trap it, because it's terrified. It can't see out of one side, and it needs medical attention now. I've never seen it before. I don't know where it came from. So with any luck, fingers crossed, we'll get somebody to come get this one and take a look at it. But other than that, Shadow's still been around. Snowball's around outside. They're both healthy, doing good. Not fixed yet, but, well, Snowball is. I've not seen Rory, the one that is the sibling to the doctor of the outside cats. And when I did see Rory was getting fat. So I think she's pregnant again, which for a 10-year-old cat living out in the wild like that's not good. So let's see. Who is live right now? Vintage Viking Treasures. Okay, so Becky is doing a pop-up live sale. If you want to go stop in and see Becky. And in the reseller community, she's the only one I'm seeing that's live right now. So you can certainly, if you want to go shop or have fun in the chats, and I do like watching Becky. If you ever want to know anything about Fenton glass, especially, watch her channel. She is a fantastic resource about Fenton. She goes to these Fenton collector shows. She has videos where she's taken us along to see these shows. It's absolutely amazing. You will learn so much stuff if you like Fenton glass from things that are on her channel. So thank you, Nora. So you can go over to her channel and have some fun. And I will see you guys. Yep, there's the emojis, the night owl emojis. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get some chamomile tea and take my inhaler and head to bed. Cause busy day tomorrow getting him out of here because he's going camping. So, but yeah, I think I covered everything. I do need to figure out how to do a special thumbnail for next week for the sale that shows Lisa. I'm no good at graphics. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So I will have to figure something out. Maybe I can calligraphy pen and decoupage a few things together. Just make a little picture that I could take a picture of and use that as the thumbnail for the sale for next week. But I think that covers everything. Oh, and when and tomorrow, for those who were waiting for the next installment of the 1940s and 50s Hallmark vintage McCalls, I will get that up. I don't know what happened. I had 4 of them uploaded onto YouTube and they're gone. I don't know what I did, because when you're not getting enough oxygen, I made some stupid mistakes, and I know I've accidentally deleted a few things. So I'm wondering if I didn't accidentally delete them. I don't know, but luckily they're still in my computer, so I can re-upload them and get them up so that you can see that right away. So that'll be popping up sometime, if not tomorrow on Saturday. So that's everything. So have a good weekend. If you are where there's supposed to be some storms this weekend, we're supposed to get rain. There's some places getting that rain tonight. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm, because there's an Arctic blast coming a week from now that should be bringing a bunch of us on my area and further north. Should be getting some more snow. I haven't seen anything other than a dusting all winter. I'd be happy to see snow, but this late in the game, I'm afraid it's going to just do havoc to my cup and saucer magnolia, because it's starting to bud. We already lost we never saw a single flower from that thing last year because we got a cold snap. Rain on top of snow. Oh, wow. The possibility of flood. Oh, that's no fun. Well, I don't have to worry about flood. If there's a flood, I'm at the top of the hill. If there is a flood that hits my house, I better have built an ark. Because Ridley Creek is that way in Chester Park and is so many yardage below my level of land. And then Chester Creek is literally at the bottom of the hill. And again, I mean, the water would have to rise up a couple of 100 feet to get up to my house. So yeah. If the water gets that high, I better have built an ark. I will have bigger things to worry about if the water's that high. So, all right. I see another kitty. Oh, nope, you're going to head the other way. Okay, Frodo. All right, guys. I will see you next week. If I don't get something up sooner. And doing any other lives right now other than the Thursday nights, I just can't promise. Because this work with me, you can tell this is just the dust from this is making the voice go and the congestion start. So I don't think we'll be doing work with me's big ones where we're doing 3 or 4 hours. I don't think we'll be doing those on a Sunday for a while yet. Okay, have a good night, a good weekend, and if I don't see you before then, I will see you next Thursday. Bye.